Once again, we are back on Ekmun Sochki Tea Talk Train of Thought with series of an episode with Ms. Prerana Langa. We have seen in the first episode, as far as childhood which is concerned, how she has struggled. Her dad was not there, and mother, the kind of values what has been inculcated, and more base, I think, fundamental which are there. She had made strong and self-learner, and she navigated through her learning process at that particular period of time, and she went ahead and did a MBA in marketing. And ma'am, then you got a first break with an Mudra communication.
Right.
How you got that break in Mudra communication?
So in fact, I had to look for it myself because it was the first year of the college, and I was glad that I got into the college without paying any, extra money.
Yeah.
So I was happy I got it on merit. So this also I looked for it and I got into Mudra. So it was an experience where I did get like a grounding. And really learn from the ground. So when we are saying, direct marketing promotions, events, I actually was present at the ground where we used to do for Unilever, like distribution of soap, to events that we did. So it was a good grounding experience.
So you have enjoyed your
yes,
childhood with Mudra communication?
It was tough. It wasn't easy.
It was tough.
Yeah.
Then what made you change to go into a PR organization, as a Weber Sandvik
Right. So in fact, I got this opportunity with Weber Shandvik, and in fact, it was a great opportunity because really at that point in time, we were looking at doing integrated communication and reputation building. So it's looking at a brand holistically. How do you build a reputation of a brand? How do you defend the reputation of the brand? So I worked across brands. I worked with McDonald's. McDonald's India was my main client. And it was such a pleasure to work with them. It was like being part of the marketing team. So right from being part of all, the research that came out to I even worked at the restaurant in McDonald's. So I worked for 3 days in the restaurant.
Okay.
And in fact, then I really understood what is the values of the brand. So McDonald's is about quality, service, cleanliness, and value. And this I learned while I was working in the restaurant. Right from how you clean, right from cleaning from the clean part to the dirtier part, so you don't dirty the cloth, to how do you make fries. To technique or being a master of each product line. So having that experience, I was able to represent the brand. So I remember the MD of McDonald's, and I'm so grateful, to have that opportunity to work with him, Mr. Amit Chatia. He used to say that, Prerana has ketchup in her veins. So it was a pleasure, and it was good to be part of the team. In fact, I was part of the team that defended McDonald's India, because at that time we are talking about in the year I worked on it from 1999 to 2003. So in those years there was a resistance to foreign brands. In fact, KFC had entered the market, but they had to shut shop. So McDonald's, we went out with very targeted communication saying that we are an Indian brand, we respect the sentiments of Indian people, there is complete segregation of veg and non-veg, and so on. So in terms of the messaging, and there was a time where there was a huge crisis because somewhere in the international office, they mentioned that there was some beef flavoring in the French fries. Not in India, because there's so much of respect. And then we faced a major backlash. So certain political parties broke down our restaurants. And so I was part of the crisis management team. And it was very useful because I truly believe that when you build the reputation, you don't build it from outside, you build it from inside. So we had already done work where we had taken different media to our cold chain to show that as to how McDonald's supports farmers, and there's so much of sensitivity in the plant itself while making the veg or non-veg. So in fact, surprisingly, the vernacular Marathi media stood up for us. So then I handled that entire thing, from getting a third-party endorsement from FDA to say get it certified that the fries are completely veg, to the whole campaign in the stores to the work that we did with the politicians.
So all kind of PR activities like you were involved in.
Yeah. And in fact, as a result of which I got an international award from Weber Shandwick, being top in India for this. So it was a very good experience because I went to Malaysia, Kota Kinabalu, where we had top leaders from across the world, all the leaders, and there was so much of learning. Then I visited our Singapore office, our Malaysia office, learned in terms of best practices because I was working on Unilever also on a particular product. So one campaign that was happening in Malaysia was ahead of what we were doing in India. So I understood the best practices there. So it was really a beautiful journey. Did a lot of work in community engagement also.
I see.
So right from keeping around our stores, the area clean, or being a good local citizen, to we did a big program, Millennium Dreamers program. This was in the year 2000, to select children in India who are doing, something for society.
Correct.
So we did a massive search across India, and we selected 2, and they represented us in Atlanta and US.
I see.
Among the dreamers in the world.
Oh, great.
So lots of programs connected to social projects, community engagement at that point itself.
Now imagine this is a story of Prerana Langa on Tea Talk Ek Bund Soch Ki. While doing her MBA, I think she was directionless पे करना क्या है जिंदगी में, but कुछ करना है, कुछ बनना है, वो सोच रखी थी उन्होंने. उसके बाद में she got enter into a Mudra communication and then into an PR organization, and where I think she took an initiative and she got a major exposure and she had a hunger of learning, they'll मांगे more and just tell us अचानक आपने communication से आपने CSR में कैसा shift किया? What made you get into CSR
So I can say it's my good fortune. So I joined from there. I joined the corporate communications of ICICI Bank to build the reputation of ICICI Bank. And then I was very lucky to be working with Dr. Nachiket Moore. He was the deputy managing director of the bank. So Dr. Nachiket Moore, working with him, he was very focused on impact more than even visibility, because he wanted to have impact. So started working with him on microfinance, and at that point in time, we were really concerned to ensure financial inclusion. And microfinance was done traditionally through the self-help group model. So we wanted to build microfinance institutions. So in fact, worked with him closely to build microfinance as an industry vis-a-vis a Jholawala sector, to attract entrepreneurs to start institutions, to attract the right talent. And also then when I was working with him, and how do we support civil society. ICICI Bank had already started an organization called Give India, and was supporting I Volunteer. So we were supporting different organizations, because ICICI Bank is a wonderful organization in terms of ICICI Bank always believed that wherever there were missing gaps in the market, to identify the gaps, build the institution, second our own people, and take an initial investment in it, and then when it has blossomed, accordingly to exit. The whole idea was institution building. Not many people know, but ICICI Bank built HDFC in some many years ago. And also was responsible to build NCDEX, CRISIL, because there was no rating agency, so ICICI Bank worked on that. So I was very lucky to work with Dr. Nachiket Moore in building of institutions. So there was no rating, there was no unique identification number, there was no Aadhaar at that point in time.
Correct.
So even we set up an institution, because it was a big problem for us, when we had gone to a rural India. In a particular village, there are 5 Prerana Langas. So then how do you ensure credit and that a unique identification?
Correct.
So in fact, we set up a company called Fino, and through Fino, it was about promoting unique identity.
That's more towards microfinance aspects?
Yeah, so it was more in terms of building block towards microfinance.
Okay.
So number of companies set up, and So yeah, so I was glad to be part of the team, and I started doing more and more social projects.
Mhm.
And then I was very lucky that when Nachiket, he decided that he wants to set up, and in fact, the board gave him the opportunity to set up ICICI Foundation.
Mhm.
And please remember, the ICICI Foundation was set up even before the Companies Act. So
Okay.
it was like at that point in time, the ICICI group decided that we want to give back to society.
Mhm.
It was giving back. We had a unit called Social Initiatives Group. So in fact, was lucky to be part of Nachiket's team. We were a two-member team to set up ICICI Foundation,
Mhm.
and was lucky to be selected
Mhm.
too, because like there were people, like I said, from across different backgrounds. There were people from the IIMs. There
Part of
were
that initiative over there.
not only part of the bank to even get selected, right? So anybody
Okay.
could get selected.
Okay.
So I really believe that it's about initiative, it's about commitment, it's about
Which of the area in ICICI you worked in terms of in CSR? Is it
Okay.
education, health, or which particular area you were more focused on?
So at ICICI, we had a very long-term vision. Our vision was like for the next 20, 30 years, how do we want to impact India?
Mhm.
So the focus was that, and again, we believed in building institutions.
Mhm.
So we had set up different institutions, ICICI Center for Child Health and Nutrition,
Mhm.
all headed by like very qualified
Mhm.
leaders, right from Harvard, from the Harvard Kennedy School to
Mhm.
TIS to IRMA. All of our leaders were from different schools,
Mhm.
and more than the schools, very committed people.
Mhm.
So we set up different institutions: ICICI Center for Child Health and Nutrition,
Mhm.
ICICI Center for Elementary Education, IFMR Trust, which is a fund
Mhm.
to promote financial inclusion,
Mhm.
and it's now called Dvara Trust.
Mhm.
And it's quite a pleasure that after 12 years of setting it up, I was at the first branch
Mhm.
that they invited me to be a trustee member, advisory
Okay.
member.
Oh,
So life truly comes back full circle.
correct.
Yeah.
Now imagine like Prerana, she was there with ICICI Bank. She worked with ICICI Bank. She explored the possibilities of getting into CSR and communication. But since if you have a good impact while you are working a relevant organization, God knows how you get back. Now being part of an after so many years being part of a trustee of an Dvara Holdings. It gives a different sense of feeling altogether.
It feels absolutely wonderful.
Mm.
And it even feels more wonderful that I was Bindu Anand and Puneet Gupta, and the team was leading it,
Mhm.
and I was there from the supporting from ICICI Foundation.
Mhm.
It feels, and I remember that point in time we had written the vision on the board,
Mhm.
which was like in 2007-8 we had written that complete access of financial services to every individual and every enterprise.
Mhm.
And then to join them in 2019,
Mhm.
12 years later, and to see that they're living, breathing, and eating that vision. Like it's like
Mhm.
this, and considering that they are a for-profit entity, because when you're a for-profit entity,
Mhm.
there are pressures,
Correct,
to sometimes only focus on profit.
Mhm.
So it's wonderful to see, the kind of, it's led by Bindu and Sameer,
Mhm.
the kind of commitment and passion they have towards the vision.
Correct.
And to be part of the journey, I mean, it's so wonderful.
I think that's what ये मंच ऐसा मंच है like TikTok where once the experts come and share their journey now here is what beautiful insights what we are getting from her story in understanding first initially in our early episode what we have seen nothing was planned what she wants to do in life but she wanted to do something and कुछ करना है बट कैसे करना है वो उस टाइम पे सोच रही थी बट आस्ते आस्ते जैसा शी वेंट थ्रू अ लर्निंग कर्व and the impact of what she had as a vice president CS and communication with ICICI and after so many years being part of an trustee of that particular Dvara holding I think it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting story with Prerana Langa. Next episode we'll try and catch up another marathon from here getting into an as a CEO for an in CSR with Yes Foundation, like. And now here you will see the two aspects. One is like as far as the CR Act which was concerned, while she was working with ICICI, it was not there. But once she got into an Yes Foundation, and once that act was in place, that CSR Act which was in place, we'll just I think have some conversation with Prerana Langa to get more insights at what experience she had while being part of that CSR Act. Like, ma'am, thank you very much for being part of this episode on Tea Talk Ek Boond Soch Ke and giving
Thank you.
valuable guidance. And for Tea Talk audience, I think catch up with Prerana Langa on Tea Talk Ek Boond Soch Ke for next episode. Till then, just go to www.teatalk.net, subscribe and like the channel as much as you can. Thank you very much. Thanks, man.